This video is sponsored by Stack Audio, manufacturers of the Orva speaker and equipment isolation feet used by a British audiophile. For more information about these and other products, please click the link in the description. What's your poison, floor standing or stand mount speakers? It's a debate that's as old as hi-fi itself, and I don't think it's going to get settled anytime soon. There are advantages and disadvantages to both. Personally, I struggle with floor standing speakers up to a price of around £3,000. A lot of them have additional drivers or larger drivers shoved into a poorly damped box in an attempt to deliver more bass extension and output. I get it. If you have a larger room and a subwoofer is out of the question, then you have no choice. And accessibly priced floor standing speakers have their place in AV systems, but in resolving two-channel systems, you're generally giving up quite a bit of performance. There is a point where the pendulum swings back in favour of the larger speakers, but where is that point? It depends on the listener's expectations. For me, it's north of £5,000. Three-way designs tend to be the norm, and manufacturers can justify using good quality drivers and cabinet construction. I'll get into the benefits of a good three-way design later, but the question I really want answered is it possible to get very good sounding floor standing speakers for £2,000? I think it is, as long as you do your homework and shop around. What about £1,000? Well, let's see. Wharfedale are part of the International Audio Group, which also include Quad, Mission, Audiolab and some other brands. IAG have large resources to bear and are very much about delivering maximum bang for your buck. The highly successful Evo 4 range has been totally overhauled in 2025 with new cabinets, drivers and crossovers, although the Evo 5 portfolio still features two stand mounts, two floor standers and a centre channel. Matte black, matte white and a gloss real walnut finish were available on the old model, but matte lunar grey is new. It's unusual to get real wood veneers on speakers of this size that retail for £1,099 a pair, but I'm glad I waited an extra month for the Lunar Grey Evo 5.3 samples to become available. There's an industrial chic vibe about the appearance that I find very appealing. All the models in the range have cabinets that have increased in every dimension, including the Evo 5.3s I have in for review. For a change, I won't state the measurements, as they're clearly labelled on this image Wharfedale provided. The extra cabinet volume increases bass extension from 42 Hz on the Evo 4.3s to 40 Hz on the 5.3s at the -6 dB point. If that doesn't seem very low, it's because Wharfedale don't artificially inflate figures with room gain, as many manufacturers do. Taking care of the bass and lower mid-range up to 825 Hz are two 130mm 5¼ aramid drivers. Kevlar, going by its common name, is a material that Wharfedale have been using for over 25 years. A 50mm 2-inch soft dome recessed in a waveguide to match dispersion handles frequencies from 825 Hz to 4K. This is the key benefit of a three-way design. It takes the crossover away from the circa 2 kHz range, where human hearing is most sensitive due to natural resonances in the ear canal. The air motion transformer tweeter has increased in size from 30 by 60, 1.2 by 2.4 inches on the previous generation, to 35 by 70, 1.4 by 2.8 inches on the current one, the benefit being improved efficiency and dispersion. I have no complaints about the quality of the speaker terminals on the rear, but two sets would have been preferable. Given the three-way design, it would be handy to be able to have the option to biamp the woofers to gain better bass control. At first glance, the Wharfedale Evo 5s don't look that different to the Evo 4s, but there are quite a few significant changes under the skin. For those of you who are interested, I'll go through them. The Evos remain a downward firing ported speaker, but instead of two slots in the plinth, there are now three to improve airflow. The low centre of gravity and orientation of the port should make the 5.3s easier to place close to walls than rear ported designs. The cabinet may have increased in volume, but construction remains the same. MDF with a soft high-loss chipboard sandwiched in the middle. The surfaces are lined with acoustic foam and there are three internal braces to further reduce resonances. New damping materials have been introduced in this latest generation of bass drivers in order to produce a cleaner response. Trademarked Reso frame It sits in front of the cone. A low-mass elastomer damping ring, termed Resoseal, also is located where the cone meets the surround. The mid-range hasn't escaped upgrade-itis either, incorporating two new innovations: the Resoframe damping found in the bass unit and a cotton felt hybrid called Silent Weave added to the cavity behind the diaphragm. It's claimed to reduce unwanted reflections inside the speaker. The tweeter receives a trio of improvements designed to lower resonances and reduce distortion. Resoframe sits in front of the diaphragm, whilst an elastomer damping gasket similar to the woofer sits behind. Just like the mid-range, the Silent Weave cotton felt hybrid material absorbs energy from the back wave. The crossover in the three-way speakers in the range is now split into two boards rather than one, with the bass filter separated. The layout has been revised to shorten signal paths and components upgraded, with all polypropylene capacitors and air core inductors, bar the big one in the woofer circuit. I'm not sure what you make of all of that, but for me it amounts to a significant facelift. The first thing that struck me about the Wharfedale Evo 5.3s is not the extra bass weight and dynamics over smaller speakers. That's to be expected. It's that these are far from boomboxes. The bass nicely pressurizes my room and retains the definition to hang on to rhythms with a surety. It's not flabby, not even chubby, just a little rotund with some love handles to hang on to. That's a major plus because there's hardly any floor standing speakers at this price that deliver the extra bass punch but without severely penalising their owners. The Evo 5.3's lower frequencies don't drown bass definition or significantly pollute the mid-range. The Acoustic Energy AE109 Mark IIs are a rare gem, but these £599 floor standers pull the clarity trick off by being ultra compact and using a HDF cabinet. As good as they are, the 109 Mark IIs can't compete with the Evo 5.3s for bass extension or the ability to shift gears easily between quiet and loud passages. I'm not saying that there's no trade-off though. The £1,000 Dali Opticon 2 Mark IIs that I reviewed in 2024 may not allow you to follow each performer as easily, but they deliver more tonal shading and texture to notes. The Dali stand mounts also stereo image better. The Wharfedales may be superb at separating out performers, but their placement in absolute terms is a little bit vague. But for floor standers with extra cabinet resonances to deal with, it is impressive. Time for this week's music suggestion. Paying tribute to Wharfedale's long heritage, how about some old school charm? I totally lost myself listening to Perry Como singing For the Good Times on the Evo 5.3s, his smooth baritone transporting me to a simpler time. If you haven't heard it for a while, I suggest you try it. The high frequencies are also another standout quality for the Evos. The AMT tweeter is very articulate, offering delicacy and extension in the highest octaves. It sits nicely in balance with the rest of the frequency range. Whilst the Evo 5.3s have a warm overall tone, they can't be described as bright or rolled off. I have one more comparison for you, but I hesitated before I included it in this review. That's because I don't think they give you a realistic expectation of what £800 stand mount speakers sound like, and they have a floor standing equivalent which is £400 more expensive than the Evo 5.3s. The Monitor Audio Silver 107Gs produce a larger soundstage, have more focused imaging and a tighter bass than the Wharfedales. The mid-range also has crisper transients with more fine detail, although the top end on both speakers offers similar resolution. The reality is that the Evo 5.3s and the Silver 107Gs have very distinct personalities that are quite different from each other. The likelihood is if someone likes one of them, they won't like the other. Vocals and many instruments can sound a little bit cool on the Monitor Audios, whereas the Wharfedales turn the tonal temperature a couple of clicks above neutral. That's why the electronics you put in front of them becomes important. So let's take a look at that. The Wharfedale Evo 5.3s may be relatively compact floor standing speakers with a downward firing port, but I didn't get away with placing them close to walls. For the bass not to wallow, I wound up with them just under 91 centimeters or 3 feet into the room, measuring from the center line of the front baffle. A toe angle with the speakers pointing at my shoulders helped with mid-range clarity as well. Your room's different, so your setup's likely to be different. What about amplification? Audiolab and Wharfedale products have been designed to work together, both being IAG bedfellows. The £699 6000A Mark II didn't disappoint, with the internal DAC handsomely suited to the task, and amplification section with plenty of drive for these speakers. The neutral sounding Audiolab with the warm sounding Wharfedales results in the personality of the speakers coming through. It's not overall a neutral sounding system. If you can justify an extra few £100 on an external DAC, as the internal one is not up to the task, then the similarly priced musical Fidelity B1XI offers slightly better fidelity across the board than the Audiolab 6000A Mark II. I'd be very surprised if the Audiolab 7000A, which is the same price as the Evo 5.3s, wouldn't be a great option as well. My £1,950 Exposure 2510 unearthed some limitations in the mid-range clarity of these new Wharfedale speakers, not an entirely satisfying combination. To a lesser extent, the same was true of the circa £1,000 Wilsonton R8, running about £600 worth of upgraded tubes from Tungsall and PS Vane. If you want to temper the rich and organic presentation of the Evo 5.3s, I choose amplifiers with great bass control and a leaner tone. The Cambridge Audio MX-70 is considerable value for a discrete Hypex Class D amplifier, offering 70 watts per channel into 8 ohms and 125 watts into 4 ohms, which is what the Evo 5.3s are rated at. Add the resolving and surprisingly tonally natural DacMagic 200M for a diminutively sized DAC power amp option for just under £850. No doubt other Class D amplifiers would be worth investigating, but that little Cambridge Audio Duo doesn't break the bank. It trades some authenticity to the rendering of notes for a detailed, controlled and fairly neutral sound when paired with the Evo 5.3s. Okay, time to pull all this together. Wharfedale have successfully updated their popular Evo 4 speakers with some significant changes under the skin. The Evo 5.3s are very well put together, compact, three-way floor-standing speakers for £1,099. The lunar grey finish perfectly flatters the predominantly 4 black drivers on the front panel in a tasteful modern design. The sound is rich with weighty, well-defined bass, excellent mid-range separation and open and refined highs. Yeah, I'd like a little bit more mid-range resolution to extract some of those subtle details from recordings. The sound is also distinctly on the warm side of neutral, which will suit many but not everybody. For me, the defining characteristic is that I can add the Evo 5.3s to a very short list of sub £2,000 floor standards that do the things that big speakers do well, but don't fall too far behind in the things that little speakers do well. Hopefully, I'll explain that extensively in this review. The Wharfedale Evo 5.3s get a highly recommended from this channel. My question for today is, what are your experiences of floor standing speakers, either in your home, other people's homes, hi-fi shows or demos? Please let me know in the comments section. I'm sure you know what to do by now if you want to support me here and what I do. Like, share, subscribe, hit the bell notification. Check me out on Patreon, there's a couple of tiers you can access there if you think I can help you on your audiophile journey. Also check out the ABA Club on Patreon, which has some great ways to interact with me and fellow Patreons. But for today, for now, a British audiophile signing off.